Hi guys, we're going to do our annual lesson where we compose our own drum piece, just like we did last year. So last year we had a few problems with writing complete musical measures. So I want to make sure we go over this in a little more detail because I want us to do a great job and not make the same mistakes we made last year. So let's take a look at this. So before you can begin creating our percussion songs, you have to know the rules for writing music. Just like when you write a paragraph, you have to know, proper grammar skills, punctuation. So let's talk about this. So if you ordered a pizza, now I would never order olives, but if you ordered this pizza, how happy would you be if the police or the pizza guy came in and said, "Okay, here's your pizza"? I would be like, "Excuse me, there's pieces missing here." So you wouldn't be too happy about it. Well, music's the same way. It doesn't work unless your measure is complete. Just like if you had a sentence that said, "I'm going to," well, where are you going? You need more information. If you don't have a complete measure, your music can have that feeling like something's missing. So on the flip side, we don't want a pizza or a measure that has more than what we ordered or what we need. This pizza is a whole pizza and a slice. So again, how would you feel if your local pizza guy came in and said, here's your whole pizza and I just put a slice on top? You're like, what? It wouldn't make any sense. It's the same thing with music, or a sentence. I'm going to the doctor, ham. I put extra words in there. It doesn't make sense. You have to do the same thing with music. It has to be the appropriate amount of beats per measure. And you all know this. This is all going to be a review for you. So when writing music, you must make sure your measures are complete. They must equal 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? No more, no less. Oops. Measures do exist that have more or less than 4 beats, but we're not going to use them in this exercise. For our dice game, we will be using the following notes. And again, this is all review. You know this. Here's our note and rest chart. Whole note. It gets 4 beats. Bong. This is a whole rest. So it would get 4 rests. So you would just be quiet for 4 beats. So in one measure, you can only put one of these. So if you roll a whole note or a half note, a whole note or a whole rest, that is the only thing you can put in that measure. Don't try to cram anything else in there. It won't work. So our next note is a half note. Remember, that's the clean face, nothing in there with the stem going up. And he's a hat. Remember the whole hat, he ate too much, so that's why he takes up the whole measure. He didn't eat as much, so he only takes up half the measure. Okay, so just, kind of things to remember. So these, a half note and a half rest, get 2 beats. So you can have 2 of these in a measure, no problem. You can even have a half note and a half rest. Not a problem at all. Those are perfect measure. Okay? Finally, quarter note and quarter rest. So quarter note has the dirty face with the stem. It can be on this side, this side, this side, or this side. It doesn't matter. Okay? This is our quarter rest, little squiggle. Okay, the way I draw this is I go down, to the right down, to the left down, to the right down, and then make a little C. This is just the best way to make that. They get 1 beat. So you can have 4 quarter notes, 4 quarter rest, and it will still make 1 measure. You can have a half note and 2 quarter notes. 1, 2, 2 beats, and then 3, 1 for the first quarter note and 4 for the fourth quarter note. So you can mix the quarter and half notes and quarter and half rests up, but again, the whole has to be by itself in the measure. So we've all worked with fractions since you all were very, probably 2nd or 3rd grade. So you know what fractions are. So think of a measure like a fraction. This is a whole. Okay? So half. So you could put 2 quarters in there and it would make a half. You could have 2 halves. That would make a whole. You know this. 4 quarters make it a whole pizza or the whole piece. So hopefully that'll make things a little bit easier for you. Here are some examples of good measures. So remembering from our recorder lesson, remember the first song you ever learned on the recorder, Hot Cross Buns. So half note gets 2 beats, so that's 1, 2. this is a half note, it gets 2 beats. So there are 4 beats in here. Good measure. Whole by itself. Again, half, half, so that equals 4. Whole. And then we go to our quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's always in 4. You know, the common joke I'm always saying, musicians can't count past 4 because we're always counting to just 4 or less. So in the next screen, you will see a little bubble that will say A for the right answer and B for, A for an answer or B for an answer. So I want to know what is the only note that you could put in here. And it's going to give you the option of a quarter note or a half note. Okay? And you have to pick the right answer. So go ahead and click on that now. So I want you to know if this, I want you to tell me if this is a good measure. So you're either going to click on A for yes or B for no. So this is a quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, half note, quarter note, and this is just the end. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes in this measure. So tell me if this is a good measure or not. So this is another measure I just wanted you to look at. I wanted you to see a good set of measures that has some rest in it. So half note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note. It's okay to have the rest in the notes out of order. They don't have to be in a perfect order. And then our whole rest and our whole rest. So if you were going to play this, you would go 1, rest, and then you would rest for the rest of the piece. A pretty easy little piece there. And this is what you're going to be composing. Either a 4 or an 8 measure piece, depending on the size of your group. So I want you to open your browser and go to musictechteacher.com. We've been here before. We've taken several of her quizzes. So at the top of the page, you're going to go to Quizzes, and then under Quizzes, it will say Quizzes/Piano, and then under that, it will say Quizzes, and then you're going to choose the following quiz. It will be in 3 columns. And you're going to fill in the measure quiz. It's the 3rd column, the midway down. Once you take this quiz, you're going to need to show me a score of 80% or above before I'm going to give you any dice or any music paper. So this is the website, musictechteacher.com. You pull it up using Chrome or Internet Explorer. You type in www.musictechteacher.com. Okay. Remember what I said, quizzes and pianos. Then go down to quiz. So then here's our 3 columns. Okay. You're going to scroll down and go to the one that says rhythms. It'll have a little black A here. Fill in the measure. So you'll click on that. So this is a fill in the measure quiz. This gives you practice on filling in the measures because you may have to do that. You may have too many notes in a measure and you may roll a whole note. So you may have to put that in the next measure. So that's going to help you. So let's go to next. So look at the time signature at the beginning of each question. Now this will have many different time signatures, and that's okay. The rules still apply. So this is in 4/4, just like we're going to be doing. You know these are 16th notes. Those equal 4 of those notes equal 1 beat. So you have 1, 2. So that's 1 beat. So I need 2 more. That's not going to work. This is an 8th note. You also know that equals 1 beat. So that's not going to work either because I need 4. That's a half note. So you would select that. It'll have a little bow tie spinning around. You go down to hit submit, and it'll go a half note is correct. So then you would click the next question, and it will go to the next question. Once you've completed your quiz, do not close out of it. Let me see it so I can give you your dice. And once everyone in your group has got an 80% or above, then you all can start rolling. So if you have any questions, of course, raise your hand or send me an instant message.